Hey guys, my name is Fyzee and this channel is about finance and investing, and today we're going to be looking at TYRO payments, ASX, TYR. Now this company is all about helping small to medium businesses with EFTPOS and other banking solutions, and a big focus of this company is on technology. After all, it's an ASX fintech company. Now in this video, we're going to discuss some recent events in the company, a short overview of what TYRO actually does, its financials, and my personal opinion on the stock. Before we begin, this video is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. We are speaking in a very general sense only. I just have a passion for finance and investing, same as you, so let's get into it. Now let's have a quick look at the stock price for this company, and currently it's trading at $3.47. The 1 year return for the company has been quite good at about 225%. Now obviously the return is so good because it's tracking it from the last crash that we had back in March, so the return is going to be quite skewed. But looking at the maximum return since the company was listed, it's almost back at the same levels as it was when it first IPO'd, and currently it's showing a gain at about 2.66%. And TYRO hasn't been able to return back to its pre-March levels when it was at about $4.53 at the highest. And from the peak in February, the share price fell about 70%, which is massive. Now we can see that the stock price was trading between $3 to $4 fairly consistently in that trading range, but when the EFTPOS terminal issue was identified, the stock price fell a sharp 31%. However, looking at the stock price levels now, it does seem to have recovered from the lows. Now this announcement was made on the 7th of January when we saw that TYRO was having terminal connectivity issues, and subsequently on the 13th of January the announcement says that around 30% of its EFTPOS terminals were affected, which is around 20,000 terminals, which is just massive. I mean, if you look at who the target market for TYRO is, these are small to medium businesses who have strong working capital needs, and cash flow is very important. So if all of a sudden they can't accept payments, it places them in a lot of hardship, and not to mention their loyal customers get affected as well. Now on top of all this, there was a bit of drama with an American firm called Viceroy Research, who published some very nasty articles about the company, saying that they have significant downside and that their reputational and financial fallout from this is going to be severe and long lasting, and they basically spread a lot of panic among investors. Now this American company Viceroy Research also said that TYRO had a childish response and that the response was meaningless and intentionally opaque, which omits key figures and context to downplay the significant risk of the terminals getting bricked. Now subsequently, TYRO fired back by saying that these are overseas domiciled companies and unregistered operators seeking to generate uncertainty so as to directly profit from or facilitate others to profit from their research. The report was created without prior inquiry to TYRO. So basically TYRO is saying that this report was not based on facts, and they went through all of these 10 claims that Viceroy made, and as you guys can see, there is a full report on this sent to investors, and as a result of this, the stock price plummeted because of all of the uncertainty and panic around the company. Now there was a final status update given on the 27th of January saying that operations are now back at pre-incident levels, which is good to see. Now looking at what TYRO is all about, their core offering are payments which are driven by tech, which are further enhanced by other additions like the TYRO bank account, the TYRO term deposit account, TYRO Connect, and merchant cash advance. And we can see that TYRO currently stands at 36,700 merchants. They have about $12 billion in transaction value, $61.2 million in gross profit, EBITDA of 8.5 million, and so on. Now looking down here, you guys can see that TYRO is Australia's 5th largest merchant acquiring bank by terminal account. So they're a pretty big player in this market. And looking at some high level results from first half of FY21, we can see that there was a 17% increase in brand awareness. The NPS stands at 44. Now an important thing to note is that this NPS number is at 31st December 2020, which is before the terminal issues actually happened. So when the next announcement happens, we should see this number declining because people are really upset with what happened. Now this partnership with Bendigo Bank is also tracking quite well, and it's good for them to team up with Bendigo Bank because Bendigo is actually the 5th largest bank in Australia, depending on which metrics you look at. Now looking at the operational overview for payments, we can see that the transaction value has been growing quite nicely at about 23% KGR, and the gross profit for payments and merchants also sees a KGR of over 20%. Now looking at the customer composition for TYRO, we can see that over 85% of the customers that it services are based in retail, hospitality, and health, and they represent 91% of all the transactions. Now in terms of transaction value, we see positive growth rates in all states except for Victoria, and this can be attributed to the extended lockdowns that Victoria had. So this is fairly understandable. Now with TYRO Connect, TYRO is looking to integrate with services like DoorDash, Deliveroo, Google, and a few others to help our businesses and have everything in the one place. Now, this is really good because a bulk of TYRO's businesses are based in retail and hospitality, so this is quite beneficial. Alright, now let's look at the financials of this company, starting off with the P&L, and we can see that overall revenue has declined by around 2%, where revenue has decreased from 117 to 115. Now, this is mostly driven by the effects of COVID, as businesses were accepting payments less, which means that subsequently TYRO was making less money. Now, if we look at the lending and investment income, this declined by 22%, and the reason why is because businesses were struggling during COVID and they could not afford to take out another loan, which brings the overall decline to about 2%. Now, despite revenue not growing by as much as they hoped, direct expenses were slashed by a massive 20%, which still meant that gross profit was up by 21.6% compared to the previous period. And also, in addition to that, they were able to control their marketing spend during the COVID period and tried to limit employee-based expenses by freezing the amount of people that they hire and not giving any pay rises, which kind of sucks for the employees. So all of this led to the loss for the company decreasing by a massive 82% from the previous corresponding period, despite the challenges of COVID, which is a huge reduction. Now, a company which is making a loss is obviously not the best position for the company to be in, but if it's a company with high growth potential, it's acceptable to the market, but they do need to have a strong cash balance. So let's have a look at the balance sheet. Now, straight away, looking at the balance sheet, we can see that cash and cash equivalents have increased by about 27 million. So we know that they can sustain themselves for the time being. And if we look at the current ratio of this company, it is 1.6, which is over 1.5. But it still would have been good to see this number be a bit higher, since this company is not making a profit just yet. But looking at the trends that we're seeing, we are seeing the loss getting shorter and shorter. So let's see what happens in the next report. Now, the assets have increased by about 22% and liabilities have also increased by nearly 75%. However, the net assets still continue to move upwards. Now, looking at the statement of cash flows, we can see that the fees and terminal rental income has dampened a little bit by decreasing by around 5 million. But similarly, interchange, integration, and support fees that are paid have also decreased as well. Now, we can say that this is due to the effects of COVID because less transactions are being processed, as we discussed. And looking at the cash balance, once again, it has improved. Therefore, the company is in a good position when it comes to sustainability. Now, my thoughts on TYRO and why I think they're unique is because they take time to understand each and every business and each of their industries. Because you guys can see that they specialize in hospitality, retail, health, services, and so on. And for each of these businesses, they have tailored solutions. Like with hospitality, we can see that they've got integrated bar tabs, no lock tills, easy split bills, and so on. And for retail businesses, they've got benefits like high speed, where they can serve customers with less than 1.5 seconds time. There's dynamic currency conversion, tap and save, and so on. Now, although the terminal issue was very disappointing, the stock price is currently on an uptrend. And the price seems to be normalizing around the $3 to $4 range where it was previously. Now, in terms of reputation for TYRO, I think TYRO can definitely bounce back because this seems to be quite evidence based on the stock price because it's gone up by 50% since the fall. And I don't think there will be long-term reputational damage because of this terminal outage. However, in saying that, it's very important for this to never happen again because existing customers are going to have a very hard time putting up with this for the second time. Now, we already know that small to medium businesses want better solutions. And we've seen articles like this where Judo Bank, which is a challenger bank, or neobank, really going out there and helping out SMEs and making bold statements like this. So I think players like TYRO are in a very good position to capitalize on this opportunity. Now, I haven't bought into TYRO payments just yet, but it is on my watch list, just like I have DOE and IOU Pay on my watch list right now. I really like looking at fintech companies who are trying to make a change because it's very much needed. So check these two videos out. And guys, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye now. I really like looking at fintech companies